Today we're going to discuss one of the most important parts of fish keeping, but it's also one of the most ignored. So today we're going to take a look at water parameters. Hi, I'm Russ and I've been in the aquarium hobby now for over 40 years, and today we're going to take a look at the water parameters of KH, GH and water temperature. Now, I'm going to start by taking us all back to our childhood, when we used to have read to us the fairy tale Goldilocks and the Three Bears, yeah? She breaks into a bear's house. She won't sit in two of the chairs because they're pointing in the wrong direction. She'll only sit in the chair that is suitable for her. Then she gets the porridge. She won't eat the porridge that's too hot. She won't eat the porridge that's too cold. She'll eat the porridge that is just right for her. Then she goes to bed. She won't sleep in the bed that's too hard. She won't sleep in the bed that's too soft. She'll only sleep in the bed that is just right for her. And then when we get older, isn't that the same for yourself? Isn't that the same for me? You'll only drink a cup of tea or coffee that's just right for yourself. You'll only sleep in a bed that's just right for yourself. So when it comes down to keeping your fish, why don't you take this into consideration? Now, this isn't your fault. I'll be honest with you, I would say 80% of the people that don't really test for the general hardness and the carbonate hardness of their water is mainly because of the fish store that you use. Now, there are fish stores that don't even sell KH and GH test kits. So what does that tell you? A lot of shops around where I live, because the water here is classed as very soft, they don't sell those kind of kits. They don't sell the buffers. There's actually one shop that frown upon you if you buy a buffering agent for your aquarium. But then they will sell you the products like anti-fluke, anti-fungus, fin rot, bacteria. They will sell you Melifix, and they will sell you parasite treatments, for instance. And you will go home and you will treat your water because your fish has got flukes or it's gone really thin and it's eating, but its stomach's sunken. And you will treat them with the medication that you've been sold, and it doesn't work. And your fish dies. And then it leaves you scratching your head of why that fish has died, even though you've used the treatment. And you go back to the shop and you buy more fish. And a few months down the line, they get a sunken stomach, they get white spot, they get parasites. And you'd go through the same thing again. You buy the treatment, you treat them, they die. So why not, instead of buying the treatment, start looking at why your fish are getting sick? And I can guarantee at least 80% of those fish deaths can be stopped because your KH and GH in your aquarium are wrong. So today we will start by looking at the easiest one to control, and that is your water temperature. Now, I host 4 live Fishkeeper Club meetings weekly on YouTube, and I was recently asked by a lad that came in, can plecos be kept in cold water? No, they can't be kept in cold water, was what he was told. He then went on to argue with us. He said he keeps his pleco in cold water and it's fine, there's no problem. We tried to explain to him that over time the pleco was going to die because it needs a warmer water. He did say that his pleco was turning black, even though he just told us that his pleco was fine. We tried to explain to him, you're killing your fish, you need to up the temperature, plecos are a warm water fish. He completely ignored this advice, and all I can say is, the chances are, he's gonna kill his fish. Tropical fish are best kept in water temperatures from 72 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 22 degrees Celsius, up to Some 86 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 30 degrees Celsius, but that's like your angelfish, your discus, and some of your cichlids need them higher temperatures. For most tropical fish, the ideal Goldilocks zone would be 78 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 25 degrees Celsius. That temperature is your perfect temperature for a majority of your community aquarium fish. It's easily controlled with the thermostat on your thermometer, and it's also good to have a thermostat that's in your aquarium just so you can keep an eye on that temperature as well. If you've got a large aquarium like this one behind me, it's probably best to have 2 heaters running. Just helps keep that water temperature stable at all times. So temperature is one that really we should all know that you have to regulate. But the one that's ignored in the hobby more than anything is your GH, which is general hardness, and your KH, which is carbonate hardness. And this is different throughout the world. In the UK where I am, in the north, we have water that is classed as very soft. Whereas down south, their water is classed as very hard. I know from people that I speak to in the States, they say that their water is almost liquid rock because it is that hard. So I think this is where a lot of the confusion comes regarding the hobby. So first of all, we'll start by trying to tell you how to classify your water. So if your water is classed as very hard, on a water test kit for GH, you're going to be looking at 28 degrees plus and a KH of 20 plus. There is classed as very hard water. Then we come down a level to hard water. Hard water should be testing round about a GH of 14 degrees and a KH of 10 to 15 degrees. This is mainly acceptable for a majority of your tropical fish in the community tank. After that, we go into soft water. Soft water will test of between 3 and 7 degrees on GH, and really from 3 to 6 degrees on your KH. Then the last classification is very soft, which is where my water comes in. My water at source comes out of the tap at 0 degrees GH and 0 degrees KH. And if you ever tune into the Fish Keeper Club on a Saturday, you will see that I add a buffer to my water to get my KH and GH up to an acceptable level so my fish find that water perfect for them to live in. You can also use calcium-based substrates which will help raise the hardness of your water. So we all kind of know about pH. pH is the alkaline or acidity of your water, and for most community fish then you're kind of looking at a pH from 6.8 to say around 7.4, yeah? But your pH is really unstable, and a lot of test kits can give you a false read. Now, pH is unstable because when your fish breathe, or when the nitrogen cycle converts those toxic wastes, it releases hydrogen ions, and hydrogen ions in your water will strip your water of its pH and drop it, making your water completely unstable. So when you add KH buffer or calcium substrate, what that does, it kind of feeds on your hydrogen ions, so your pH doesn't really change that much. So your pH then remains stable. Stable water parameters mean happier fish. Happier fish means less stress, less illness, and less death, yeah? I hope that helps you realise just how important KH is when you are testing your water. So that then brings us to general hardness, GH. A majority of community tank fish will be quite happy with a general hardness of 4 to 8 degrees. But your live bearers like guppies, platies, swordtails and some cichlids will prefer an even higher GH. So you need to take this into account when you're buying your fish. If the actual fish that you're putting into your tank, especially with guppies and things like that, if they are going to be suitable in the 4 to 8 degrees GH water that you should have running in your usual community tank aquarium, yeah? All your fish need these minerals in the water for survival. So always take this into account, especially when you're doing water changes. I suggest you test your source water, especially like if you're in a well, but your source water to me should be tested every fortnight just to make sure that those parameters haven't changed. Over time, you will get to know, if you take the same amount of water out of your aquarium each week, you're going to get to know just how much buffer to put in there so it keeps the water at the KH that your fish require for healthy survival. Adjusting and maintaining water hardness is essential for a healthy aquarium, not only for your fish but also for your plants. So you just have to bear in mind if you're adding certain rocks that can change the pH, and if you're adding botanicals into your aquarium that can actually soften your water. Also, large pieces of bogwood can help soften the water, so you just need to take this into account when you're adding them to the aquarium. Now, large pieces of bogwood can also be quite difficult to secure into the aquarium, so they're not floating around. Now, I've just had to secure a large piece of bogwood for an upcoming build that hopefully will be released next week. So if you want to know how I secure large pieces of bogwood for the aquarium so they don't float around, then watch this video next. I'll see you there. Take care.